A dog's loyalty. In a forgotten corner of a sprawling, noisy city, there was an alley that most people hurried past. It was a narrow space between two tall buildings, a place that smelled of damp concrete and yesterday's rain. And in this alley, tucked behind a big green dumpster, sat a small cardboard box. The box wasn't empty. Inside, curled into a tight ball, was a tiny puppy. He was a mix of breeds, with soft, scruffy fur the color of caramel. His ears were a little too big for his head, which made them flop over in a charming way. He didn't have a name. He didn't have a family. He only had the thin walls of the cardboard box to protect him from the world. For days, this small box had been his entire universe. The puppy shivered, not just from the cold seeping through the cardboard, but from a deep, aching loneliness. He remembered a time before the box, a time filled with his mother's warmth and the playful tumbling of his brothers and sisters. That memory was fading now, like a dream you can't quite hold on to after waking up. It was being replaced by the harsh reality of the alley. The sounds of the city were a constant, overwhelming roar. Cars honked, sirens wailed in the distance, and the deep rumble of the subway shook the ground beneath him. To the tiny puppy, these sounds were monstrous and terrifying. He'd press himself into the corner of the box, trying to make himself smaller, invisible. Hunger was a constant, gnawing ache in his belly. More often, he had to watch as bigger, braver cats and birds swooped in and took everything before he could gather the nerve to leave his box. But most of all, he was afraid of being alone forever. He would often let out a small, hopeful whimper, a tiny question sent out into the vast, uncaring city. The only answer was the echo of his own sadness. Day after day, the feet kept moving, and the little puppy remained alone in his cardboard world, waiting for a kindness that felt like it might never come. His name was Alex. One rainy Tuesday afternoon, his name was Alex. He was a kind man with one rainy Tuesday afternoon. Alex stopped. One rainy Tuesday afternoon. His name was Alex. He was a kind man with gentle eyes and a quiet smile. Alex lived by himself in a small apartment a few blocks away. He worked from home as a graphic designer, so his days were often long and silent, filled only with the soft click of his mouse and the hum of his computer. He had plenty of friends, but his apartment often felt empty, especially in the evenings after work. His life had a quiet routine that was comfortable, but if he was being honest with himself, a little lonely. One rainy Tuesday afternoon, Alex decided to take a different route home from the corner grocery store. He usually walked along the main street, but the rain was coming down harder, and he remembered a shortcut through an alley. He pulled his jacket collar up and ducked into the narrow passage between the two brick buildings. The alley was dark and slick with rain. The city noise was muffled here, replaced by the steady drumming of raindrops on the metal dumpster lid. As he walked, his eyes scanned the ground to avoid puddles, and that's when he saw it. A soggy, brown cardboard box, looking utterly pathetic and out of place. He was about to walk past, thinking it was just another piece of trash, when he heard a sound. It was a faint, weak whimper. Alex stopped. He tilted his head, listening carefully. Did he imagine it? The rain was making it hard to hear. He took a few steps closer to the box, and he heard it again, a little stronger this time. It was a sound of pure misery, a tiny plea for help. Curiosity and concern overcame his desire to get out of the rain. He crouched down, his knees getting wet on the damp pavement, and peered over the edge of the box. Inside, he saw a small, shivering ball of caramel-colored fur. The puppy was soaked, his big, floppy ears pressed flat against his head. He looked up at Alex with enormous, dark eyes filled with a mix of terror and a tiny, desperate flicker of hope. The puppy let out another soft cry, as if to say, "Are you real? Are you here to help?" Alex's heart melted. All he felt was a powerful, undeniable need to help. "Oh, you poor thing," Alex whispered, his voice soft so he wouldn't frighten the puppy further. "What are you doing out here all alone?" He slowly reached his hand into the box. The puppy flinched, pressing himself into the corner. Alex held his hand still, letting the puppy sniff his fingers. He spoke in a low, soothing voice. "It's okay. I won't hurt you. You're safe now." After a moment, the puppy seemed to understand that this hand meant no harm. He took a hesitant step forward and gave Alex's fingers a tentative lick with his tiny, rough tongue. It was a sign of trust, a small bridge built across a wide gap of fear. Without another thought, Alex carefully scooped the puppy up. He gently tucked the puppy inside his warm jacket, right against his chest. The puppy immediately snuggled in, seeking the warmth and the steady, comforting beat of Alex's heart. For the first time in a long, long time, the puppy felt safe. The shivering began to stop, replaced by a deep, tired sigh of relief. Alex stood up, holding his precious cargo securely. He forgot about the rain, his groceries, everything. His only thought was of the small life he now held in his arms. He was heading home, and it felt like he was bringing a piece of home with him. The quiet in his apartment was about to be filled with something new, something wonderful. The walk from the alley to Alex's apartment was short, but for the puppy, it felt like a journey from one world to another. The moment Alex closed the apartment door, the loud, chaotic sounds of the city vanished, replaced by a gentle, warm silence. Alex carefully slid the puppy out from his jacket and set him down on a soft rug in the middle of the living room. The puppy stood there for a moment, his little legs trembling. He looked around the room with wide, curious eyes. It was a strange new place, filled with things he'd never seen before. The air smelled of coffee and clean laundry, so different from the damp, awful smells of the alley. The puppy took a few cautious steps, sniffing everything. He was still scared, but mostly he just felt a sense of wonder. Alex watched him with a warm smile. He knew the first thing to do was get the little guy warm and clean. He ran a shallow bath of warm water in the sink and gently placed the puppy inside. The puppy was scared of the water at first, but Alex's calm voice and gentle hands reassured him. Alex used a mild soap and carefully washed away all the dirt and grime from his fur. As he dried the puppy with a soft, fluffy towel, he saw that under all that dirt, his fur was a beautiful, rich caramel color. Wrapped in the warm towel, the puppy looked up at Alex and let out a small, happy yip. After he was dry, it was time for food. Alex didn't have any dog food, so he warmed up some milk and crumbled a little bread into it. He placed the shallow bowl on the floor. The puppy approached it cautiously, then began to eat with a hunger that was almost desperate. He ate so fast he got milk all over his nose, which made Alex laugh. It was the first time in a very long time that the puppy had a full belly. The feeling was pure bliss. With a warm bath and a full belly, the puppy was completely exhausted. He curled up on the rug and was asleep in seconds. Alex sat on the floor next to him, watching the gentle rise and fall of his small chest. He knew he couldn't just call him Puppy. He needed a name. He thought about the little creature's journey. He'd been abandoned and left to face the world alone, but he'd survived. He had a brave spirit in that tiny body. Alex thought of a name that meant strength and bravery. "Leo," he whispered. "I'll call you Leo." Like a little lion, the puppy's ear twitched in his sleep, as if he heard and approved. Those first few days were an adjustment for both of them. Leo slowly began to explore his new home. He discovered the soft sofa was a wonderful place for a nap, the coffee table leg was perfect for chewing, and Alex's discarded socks were the best toys in the world. He learned the happy sound of his food bowl being filled. He learned that Alex's hands would always be gentle and kind. And Alex's life changed too. His quiet apartment was no longer silent. It was filled with the pitter-patter of tiny paws on the wooden floor, the soft whimpers of a puppy dreaming, and the occasional happy bark. Alex found himself talking to Leo all the time. He'd tell him about his work, his day, his thoughts. Leo would listen, head tilted to one side, his dark eyes full of understanding. The emptiness Alex had sometimes felt was gone, replaced by the presence of this small, living being who depended on him completely. He bought Leo a proper bed, a soft, plush cushion that he placed right next to his own. The first night, Leo slept in it, but in the middle of the night, Alex woke up to a small, warm weight on his feet. Leo had climbed onto his bed to be closer. From that night on, that became his spot. Rescue. Alex hadn't just saved a puppy. He felt like the puppy was saving him too. He was bringing life, laughter, and a new sense of purpose into Alex's quiet world. A bond was forming between them, a silent understanding built on trust and affection. Alex had given Leo a home, and in return, Leo was giving Alex a family. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months. The tiny, shivering puppy from the box transformed into a healthy, happy, and energetic young dog. Leo's caramel-colored fur grew thick and soft, and he grew into his floppy ears, though they still gave him a look of perpetual innocence. His body filled out, and his legs grew strong from their daily walks and games of fetch. But the biggest change wasn't in how he looked, it was in his spirit. The fear that had once filled his eyes was replaced by a bright, shining confidence. He was no longer the abandoned puppy. He was Leo, Alex's beloved friend. Their daily routine became a comfortable, cherished rhythm. Every morning, Leo would wake Alex up not with an alarm clock, but with a wet nose and happy licks to the face, an invitation to start the day and go to the park. During the day, while Alex worked, Leo would sleep at his feet. Sometimes, he'd rest his head on Alex's shoe, a simple, grounding gesture that Alex found incredibly comforting. This was the heart of their bond, a true companionship. Alex realized that companionship isn't just about having someone around, it's about sharing a life, about the quiet comfort of knowing you're not alone. Leo was more than a pet. He was a constant, steady presence. Their silent companionship filled the small apartment with a warmth that had been missing. He hadn't realized how much he needed this connection until Leo came into his life, healing a part of him he didn't even know was hurting. Alex loved to talk to Leo, and Leo was an excellent listener. He'd sit patiently, his dark eyes fixed on Alex's face. If Alex sounded happy, Leo would wag his tail. If Alex sounded tired or sad, Leo would nudge his hand with his head, offering silent support. It was in these small moments that Alex felt the depth of their connection, a relationship built on pure, unconditional love. Because of Alex's patience and kindness, Leo learned to trust people again. Evenings were their time to relax together. They'd sit on the sofa, Alex reading a book, and Leo dozing with his head in Alex's lap. The simple act of stroking Leo's soft fur was a form of meditation for Alex, a way to let go of the day's stress. He often thought back to that rainy afternoon he found Leo, to think it was all because of a single small decision to look inside a box, a decision that had changed his life completely. He had rescued Leo from a life of fear and loneliness, but in return, Leo had rescued him from a quiet, solitary existence, bringing joy, laughter, and an incredible amount of love into his world. Their bond was an unbreakable thread, woven from countless small moments, a shared look, a playful chase, a quiet walk at sunset. It was a perfect example of loyalty and devotion, a testament to the idea that sometimes the family you choose is the most important one of all. Autumn afternoon, the sky began to change. The bright, clear blue of the morning was slowly swallowed by a blanket of dark, heavy clouds. A strange, eerie silence fell over the city, the kind of quiet that often comes before a storm. Alex, working at his desk, glanced out the window. The clouds were a menacing, bruised purple, and they were moving fast. He felt a sense of unease. The weather forecast had mentioned rain, but this felt like something else entirely. Leo felt it too. He had been sleeping peacefully at Alex's feet, but now he was awake and alert. He stood up, a low growl rumbling in his chest, and walked to the window, pressing his nose against the glass. His ears were perked, his tail low. His instincts told him that danger was coming. Was the wind. It started as a whisper, rustling the leaves on the trees. But soon, that whisper grew into a howl, and then a furious roar. The wind threw itself against the building, rattling the windows in their frames. Then came the rain. It wasn't a gentle shower. It was a torrential downpour, hitting the windows like thousands of tiny stones. The world outside disappeared behind a thick, gray curtain of water. The sky grew darker and darker until it felt like midnight in the middle of the afternoon. Alex turned on all the lights, trying to create a small island of brightness against the gloom. Suddenly, the lights flickered, went out, and plunged the apartment into a deep, disorienting darkness. The only light came from the occasional, blinding flashes of lightning, followed moments later by a deafening crash of thunder that seemed to shake the building to its foundations. Brave was terrified. With each crack of thunder, he would jump and let out a small, frightened yelp. He ran to Alex and pressed against his legs, trembling. Alex knelt and wrapped his arms around him. "It's okay, buddy," he said, his voice a calm anchor in the chaos. "It's just a storm. We're safe in here." But this was no ordinary storm. It was a fierce and violent tempest. The wind raged with a relentless fury, sounding like an angry beast trying to claw its way inside. Alex could hear distant sirens, a testament to the storm's power. He held Leo close, trying to shield him from the terrifying sounds, his own heart beating fast. Suddenly, there was a new sound, a loud, sharp crack, followed by the shattering of glass. A large branch, torn loose by the fierce wind, had smashed through the living room window. Rain and wind poured into the apartment, sending papers flying and knocking over a lamp. Alex's fear turned into a jolt of adrenaline. The broken window was dangerous. He had to cover it. He let go of Leo and started to move toward the window, his eyes trying to adjust to the dark. But Leo, seeing Alex move towards the source of the terrifying noise, did something extraordinary. His fear seemed to vanish, replaced by a powerful, protective instinct. This was his home. This was his person, and they were in danger. The small dog, who had been trembling with fear just moments before, now showed incredible courage. He stood between Alex and the broken window, planting his feet firmly, and he began to bark. It wasn't his usual happy bark. It was a deep, serious, commanding bark. He wasn't barking at the storm. He was barking for Alex, warning him, protecting him. He was a small, caramel-colored guardian, standing his ground against the raging chaos. Alex stopped, stunned by Leo's bravery. He saw the determination in his dog's eyes. In that moment, Leo wasn't a small rescued puppy. He was a lion, just as his name suggested. His courage was a bright, unwavering light in the dark, frightening room. He was a small creature, but his loyalty was immense, a powerful force against a fierce storm. Inspired by Leo's bravery, Alex quickly found a large piece of cardboard. With Leo standing guard beside him, he managed to block the broken window and stop the wind and rain from pouring in. The task was difficult and frightening, but having Leo by his side gave him strength. For the rest of the night, as the storm raged outside, they sat together on the floor, far from the windows. Leo never left Alex's side. He had shown his true nature. His loyalty wasn't just about cuddles on the sofa or happy greetings. It was a deep, instinctual promise to protect his friend, no matter what. The storm had tested their bond, and through his incredible courage, Leo had proven that their connection was unbreakable. They were a team, and together they could weather any storm.